20 highlights from the Queen's Green Planet that showed why David Attenborough and Her Majesty strolling round the grounds of Buckingham Palace should have its own series, by Jim Shelley. The Queen's Green Planet was TV nirvana. A documentary you knew was special when Sir David Attenborough was not the most fascinating, charismatic, of the two experts discussing nature. The great man accepted this himself, almost too reverentially. "It's a little-known fact that Her Majesty loves trees," he revealed. "Not anymore, you thought." And now she's taking her love of nature to a whole new level. It was two fine programs combined. Ostensibly its purpose was to highlight the Queen's endeavors persuading the 52 countries of the Commonwealth to plant trees and dedicate forests to her project, creating a global network of protected forests. The veteran Labour MP Frank Field had lobbied various governments over the years. But nobody was interested at all, Field said, until the Queen jumped at it. Her determination to link the rainforests, and that of Harry, William, and the Duchess of Cambridge when they visited the Commonwealth representing the scheme, was unmistakable, not just for now but for eternity. "It's called the Queen's Canopy," she told Attenborough, which is rather nice. Following the project was interesting, but it was the footage showing the Queen and Attenborough strolling round the gardens of Buckingham Palace, talking relaxedly and happily about plants and nature and their place in her heritage and life, that was the part of the show that was so special, and provided the kind of detail that gave a real, rare, insight into what the Queen was actually like. The fact that she was so pleased about the name, and proud, was obvious. Whether it was because Attenborough put her at ease or because his own love of nature meant that she enjoyed talking to him, it provided a fantastic glimpse into her beliefs, her personality, and her sense of humor. The number of times you saw her beam or giggle, often mischievously, was remarkable. Maybe it was because she just felt at home. Your heart went out to whoever had to tell the bosses at the BBC that Sir David Attenborough and Her Majesty had given their historic appearance and such terrific material to ITV. The Queen's Green Planet was not just a fantastic documentary, but that rare thing in television, a new format. Two 91-year-olds just talking as they strolled round the royal gardens. Like a royal carpool karaoke, only better. The two most popular people in the country also made for a dream duo that was a definite upgrade on Ant and December, and the quality of the banter was certainly higher. Attenborough set the scene with one of his classic opening lines, intoning, "On a glorious summer's day I've been invited to Buckingham Palace to walk with the Queen in her garden and talk about her love of nature, and whatever else takes our fancy." Unexpectedly this included such delights as the Queen commenting on everything from climate change to conkers, Donald Trump's helicopter to her life expectancy. "In 50 years there might be all different kinds of trees here," Attenborough suggested. "There might easily be, yes," agreed the Queen. "I won't be here though." The Queen exuded such charm and such presence, even Attenborough was reduced to gushing and being slightly fawning. But occasionally it was this that also proved winning. "It's the way the branches of the plane trees grow sideways," he enthused, and the Queen looked delighted when he added, "It makes you want to sit on them and swing your feet." David Attenborough and the Queen climbing a plane tree and swinging their feet on the branches. What a sight that would be, maybe in the sequel. Here are 20 highlights that made you want to see them walking and talking in the Queen's Green Planet become a series. 1. It sounds like President Trump. The Queen about the helicopter overhead drowning out their conversation, a comment she waited to make only after it had gone, with perfect timing. 2. Conkers. David Attenborough seeing a chestnut tree, in the style of Homer Simpson about beer. 3. The dogs hate them. They're very prickly. Her Majesty showing where her priorities lay with an altogether more disapproving, protective, view. 4. Didn't someone recently try to stop children playing conkers? Health and safety. The Queen showing how closely she follows what's in the news, and what she thought, it seems to be a quite harmless battle thing. 5. We won't look at that one because it doesn't seem to be doing very well. Somebody sat on it, I think, at a garden party. Her Majesty proving David Attenborough wasn't quite right when he said this is the story of the Queen's passion for trees in all shapes and sizes. She seemed more amused than concerned about one that had been so trashed it was virtually horizontal. 6. This is a certificate for you, the Queen told the President of Fiji, actually giggling as she added, to prove that you are going to do this. an example of Her Majesty's mastery of what Attenborough called exercising soft power. Ultimately, for those countries not that keen on joining, resistance was futile. 7. I've been quite difficult to give presents to, something of an understatement when you're the Queen of England, as was Attenborough's response. I believe that's so, yes. 8. People think, oh, let's give her a plant or a tree or something. My birthday last year was very useful, very productive of roses and lots of plants. Even more so if you have 2 birthdays. 9. They're the most magical trees because the branches are so noble and broad. One really wants to climb them. David Attenborough, summing up the difference between boys and girls, even at the grand old age of 91. 10. Yes, one never thought of climbing a plane tree. The Queen looking delighted, and looking as if she hadn't necessarily ruled it out. 11. Isn't it good? Had we thought of that? The Queen laughing to an off-camera minion when Attenborough pointed out that the palace garden's sundial had been neatly planted in the shade. 12. Maybe we can move it. The Queen showing she wasn't necessarily that happy about it, suggesting meaning maybe you can move it in a way that said she really meant move it. 13. Sometimes we get crow's nests. We have to get people to remove them because it's not nice to have them outside your window. The Queen showing that there's still a price to pay for living in Buckingham Palace. 14. It's amazing watching the people who cut the branches on ropes right up to the top. It makes one feel quite ill. The Queen demonstrates her brilliant dry comic timing about the arboriculturists who clear the crow's nests. 15. James I chose the wrong sort, which was a great disappointment, I believe. I think he thought it was going to be rather good. The Queen showing her delightfully cutting sense of humor, even going back to early 1600 when James I blundered with the mulberry trees he planted as food for silkworms. 16. You said that one was Prince Andrew. They can't both be. Her Majesty disdainfully correcting David Attenborough after the great man had eagerly run across to check the identity of the trees the Queen had planted years ago for her children and making him do it again. 17. Which color would you like? Her Majesty offers Sir David a rose after he admired her abundantly well-stocked rose garden. Attenborough enthused about the possibility of the blood red or blush pink, but she countered that she thought the variegated was better. Diplomatically he agreed. 18. If you get the children to decorate the Christmas tree themselves, then they're more careful. The Queen's tip combining putting kids to good use at Christmas and stopping them from knocking the decorations off. 19. She sends the Duke of Cambridge and his family to Canada, flying 5,000 miles to receive one of the first dedications to the canopy. Attenborough, indicating the Queen's green planet is not quite as green as it could be. 20. If all the countries continue to plant, it might change the climate again. The Queen suggesting she doesn't share President Trump's views about climate change. When David Attenborough encouraged this opinion, enthusing that more forests would help the economies of the countries concerned and help the animals and the people living in them, she added, yes, it's alone, isn't it?